Hello, everyone. Welcome to TSAM Digital. My name is Annalise, and today, as part of Women's History Month, I have the pleasure of speaking with Dominica Ribeiro, Chief Marketing Officer of Breckinridge Capital Advisors. Welcome, Dominica.
Hi, Anna. Great to see you.
It's nice to see you as well. So, Dominica, before we get started, would you like to say a couple of words about yourself and the work that you do at Breckinridge?
Sure. So, as you mentioned, my name is Dominica Ribeiro, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Breckinridge Capital Advisors. And here I also have the opportunity to sit on our sustainability committee and our executive committee. And the nice part, or one of the great parts about that, is I have a reach across the firm, having the opportunity to be involved in all things related to sustainability and thinking more specifically about human capital, which is where I see this component of women in leadership and women in diversity and creating a more diverse and equitable workforce. So that has given me the opportunity here at Breckinridge, and just part of my overall history and being a woman in finance. I've spent the majority, actually all of my career within the finance industry. And through time, I've had many opportunities, great mentors, great sponsors that have been able to help to educate me and network with me and sort of pick me up and lift me up along the way, which has been really valuable to the point that I'm at now. And I have that opportunity at this point in my career to pay that back. And so inside of the marketing bubble, if you will, but certainly have tentacles that extend across Breckinridge, and love that we have that type of network and opportunities here.
Thank you so much. And it's really exciting to talk to you about all of this. I know you're really excited about Women's History Month, and you've been doing a lot around it. So to kind of kick off, can you tell me about your company's initiatives to create a more welcoming, empowering, and inclusive workplace?
Yes, absolutely. So Breckinridge, last year in 2021, we became a signatory to the Women's Empowerment Principles. And that was something that we were excited to do, something that we take very seriously. And that happened to align with the first time that Breckinridge has set a formal DE&I, diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy in place. So in early 2021, we set that strategy in place and also signed the Women's Empowerment Principles, and directly, not only have we communicated that and shared what's in our DEI strategy and publicly promoted our signing the Women's Empowerment Principles, but we tie that back direct into our operations, into our investments as a firm. And I can give you a couple of examples of things that we've been doing since we created that strategy and since signing the Women's Empowerment Principles. We have been focusing specifically on education as a firm. So if you can imagine being in marketing, I'm always thinking about activity and progress within a funnel. So the way that I think about DEI and our DEI strategy here is starting at the top of the funnel with the baseline, if you will, of education, making sure that all employees have not only access to, but ability to attend live training sessions that we have. We've partnered with outside organizations to help to create these programs and to ensure that our employees have access and can continuously learn about DEI related topics. So intersectionality was one, gender pronouns was another, as two examples of education sessions that we provided to employees, and I've participated in those as well. Another component in our DEI strategy was committing to biannually a pay equity survey. So working with a third party, looking at our organization, identifying if there's any gaps related to anything within across diversity at the firm, not specific to gender, but also looking at race and background and other things, and making sure that those gaps don't exist. And if they have existed, correcting them. And making sure, again, that we're committing to that on a biannual basis in order to make sure that we're not lagging in any of those areas, and making sure that we're staying true and transparent to the strategy that we put forth. So those are just a couple of examples of what we're doing here. And quite honestly, it feels good. And we know that we have work to do, right, along with everyone within the financial industry. So it feels really good to authentically being able to set this strategy, execute on it, and measure against it and correct it if it didn't work, right? So part of that is being transparent, is admitting if something didn't work and going back and making changes and keeping at it.
It's really great to hear about all of the wonderful things that you've been piloting. And we definitely appreciate you sharing all of the progress and the work that you still have to get done. It's really inspiring for everyone listening, I think. And I wanted to ask, in that sense, in your opinion, what are the sort of hurdles that the financial industry has to overcome in order to create more equal participation among genders at every level of companies?
Yeah, so no doubt this is a big one to unpack, right? We know that the gaps are existent. We know that there's gaps not only within entry level, but even up to vice president and C-suite level. And I'm sure that you have read, which I'm sure many people listening have read, a lot of the McKinsey Women in the Workplace research that exists out there. And I constantly go back and refresh my memory in reading those, because I think that there's components in that research that points you to specific areas in barriers and hurdles that we have to overcome, like not only creating a more diverse candidate pool when hiring. So what does that look like? At Breckinridge, we have formed a really new partnership with a firm called Circa that is going to help us get those diverse resumes, to make sure that we're bringing in and we're giving equal opportunity to diverse candidates for every open position that we have. So that's a new partnership of something we're doing. I think other firms can do that as well. I also think that in the hiring process, there's tools like Textio. My last organization, we use that. And we're looking at a tool here at Breckinridge that eliminates gender bias from the resume process. And even talking about, should you or can we strip the candidate's name out of the resume? So those are some activities and hurdles, I think, that all companies within finance, and I'm sure even beyond finance, need to really make sure you have a plan there. And then to my last point too, that you continue to test and measure, right? Because if it's not working, what can we do to go back? Because that at the hiring, at that entry level is a significant hurdle. And then I would say how you look at promotions across the firm as well, because those are areas in which all of us within finance can better sort of assess how promotions are given and provided. Because, referencing back to the McKinsey research, there's research that are showing where the first gap is happening within the financial industry is at that first step of promotion. That women are lagging the promotions in regards to men. And I think that in the latest research, it even talks about more of a gap for women of color. And I think that those are two big hurdles that organizations need to address. And I can appreciate that it won't always be easy to address. And again, going back to this test and measure, it may take a few times to get that right, but it's about making sure that you're committed, and leadership is committed from the top of the house, and even employees from at all levels are committed to making changes, because I think collectively it's about not only the doing piece, but it's about making sure that you believe in it and you believe in the reason why. The reason why is the diversity of thought, right? So the more, and it kind of ties back to education, the more that you believe it, the more that you practice it, the more that these hurdles can be broken down. And I think also looking generally at pipelines across all of those levels. A few things that I've seen come up or in the past, say few years, are oftentimes when one is faced with hiring for an open role, it takes time to source diverse candidates. Should it? No, but it does. So oftentimes what happens is you have a position that is requirement is X amount of industry experience. You want somebody that's able to come in and just get moving, right? Because we all have, I think there's no doubt that all organizations, everyone has so much work to do. And oftentimes it requires you to wait, be patient, wait until you have a diverse set of candidates that you can put forth into the interview process. So I see that as an opportunity as well, because oftentimes, and I've done this myself, I will admit, I will not shy away from this, that you're in such a quick, you need to, as a hiring manager, you need to hire so quick because there's a gap on the team. There's so much work to be done that you don't always have that opportunity to really wait to bring those candidates forth. So when I think of a tool like Circa, that is an example of sort of has the opportunity to eliminate some of that time needed because we're pooling in those diverse candidates right off the bat. And you have that opportunity to really make sure you have a good diverse set as you move forward with any type of job interview. So I think that those are a few hurdles that at least I've identified and seen over the past few years that I think if we can get even a little bit better, I think we need to get much more better holistically as an industry. But if we can collectively in firms like mine and like Breckinridge that can start making these changes and taking those steps needed that collectively, hopefully as an industry, 10 years, 15 years down the road, this won't be as much of a conversation and those hurdles won't be as strong as they are today.
Thank you so much. It's really inspiring. And just to kind of pick up on what you were saying earlier, we definitely have a lot more to do, but let's not lose sight of what we've achieved so far as an industry. I think that's really inspiring, right? Because you've done so many great things, and I'm sure, and I know there are other companies that are making progress out there. So I do want to invite anybody who's listening, either if they've done something or they want to do something, reach out, share your story, because it can make a difference. It can really make a difference to just advance the industry. I think that's important for us to share. So that's one of the reasons why we're doing it. And just to kind of tie in with what you were saying earlier, are there any notable projects out there that inspire you, maybe within the industry or even outside of the industry?
Yes, I have to. So I don't even have to think about this because I know the one that has inspired me most in my entire career. And it's that of the Fearless Girl statue that with my last organization, we placed on Wall Street to promote the power of women in leadership. And by far that project was one that was so important, not only to the industry and to the world and across the globe, but also to me personally, because I am female, but also because I have 3 children and 3 teenagers, and 2 of which are females. And it's really important to me to think about today's generation, but also think of the generations to come. And as being a marketer, I would have never imagined that, especially a female marketer in finance, imagine that I'd have the opportunity to work on a project that would bring so much attention to this big gap that exists and actually follow it through to actually see change and make change and be able to witness that change that's happened within the industry. And I think that by far has been the project that has inspired me both and still continues to inspire me today, because again, it's about organizations all trying to take these steps forward, whether they're baby steps, whether they're large steps, public steps, more internally focused. It's about us heading in that right direction. And I think just quickly back to the placement of the Fearless Girl statue. And there was this woman who we actually captured on video at the time. And she was so moved by this statue. And she said, "My generation fought for the women of today." And that to me, it's that she spoke to me. And so I think when looking at that project and what we have the ability to do within the financial world, we need to fight and do the same that woman did for our generation, for the future generations to come.
Absolutely. And honestly, thank you for sharing that wonderful story. It's something that personally inspires me as well. And reflecting upon the future and just kind of thinking about women or girls who are aspiring to careers in finance. Do you have any advice for them? Because I think they would really welcome your input, obviously having all of the insights that you shared so far.
Yeah, I definitely do. So a couple of things. One is network across all platforms, any events. TSAM puts on a wonderful event across the globe, and attend those events, because not only are you learning and you're hearing from others within your industry, but you have that opportunity to network, grow new partnerships, and really tap into those. If somebody says, reach out to me, let's do coffee, let's have lunch, take that initiative and reach out and hold that person accountable and do that. Because I think the more that you can grow your network, the better, which leads me into the second component about mentorship and sponsorship. I've read this over and over again, and I'll paraphrase, but it's align yourself with other women and men who will promote you when you're not in the room. So that to me is about sponsorship. And in my eyes, as a young female coming into the industry, that's what you want, is you want to make sure that you align those, you open up your network and you align with people that are going to not only promote you and talk about you to you in front of you, but also when they're behind closed doors, right? And they're able to promote that. And then it leads me to, I'd say my third point is management. When you have a manager, hopefully you align with that manager and your values are in line with the manager's values. But don't be afraid if not. And if it doesn't feel right to you and you don't feel that manager is promoting you in the way in which you deserve, then don't be afraid to look elsewhere. I think that was something that what struck on me and my younger self is I didn't feel like I had that opportunity to go other places and look outside of the company that I was at. And once I realized that I had that opportunity, my world really grew. And I would give that advice to the younger generation coming into the industry. Don't be afraid of that, and be confident going into it. And I would say definitely one last piece of advice. Sorry, I feel like I have so much, but one last piece of advice is to set your values, identify what's important to you as an employee, whether you're in finance or even any other industry, to be honest, and make sure that along the way, any decisions, movements that you make always align back to your values, because the industry can get very crazy and lots of things are happening and lots of people involved. And if you have any moves within your career and I'm not talking about a lateral move, but a project move or anything that compromises your own values that you set forth in the beginning, then don't do it. And always look back at those. And it really helps to make sure that you don't lose yourself in the process through your career, because it's easy to do so. So I've always found that has helped. I go back to my roots 15, 20 years ago that I set for myself to make sure that I'm still in line with what's important to me and who I am as an individual. So
amazing.
A few.
Thank you so much, Dominica, for sharing your wonderful journey and just the insight that you have provided. I hope will help companies out there, and it will inspire them to either, reevaluate or reassess their priorities, or even just kind of go out and volunteer or, start a project.
Absolutely.
I really hope that happens. And we always love to talk to you. So thank you for dedicating your time to this channel today. And we hope to see you again soon.
Thank you so much. It was great talking with you.